Okay, we are going to talk about motivation today. And yes, I'm going to hold this stupid mic because it is being stupid. I used to call myself the queen of 70% because I would literally get 70% of the way through a project, a goal, whatever, before I would lose motivation. And now I can't seem to turn the motivation off even when I need to. Like, I am addicted to just moving forward and I can't help it. I have literally hacked my brain to be permanently motivated. And I want to share what I did so that if you, especially as a business owner, are struggling to get up and do the thing that you don't want to do and you feel like I need to find motivation, I want to shift that for you because A, I'm going to talk to you about why you don't need motivation, and then B, I'm going to talk to you about what you do need and how to drill that into your brain so that doing the thing becomes a habit, a routine, something you can't not do. And by the way, this is even as a person with ADHD. So I know there's two schools of thought, and one says that we can't change our brain. And then the other new emerging school of thought on ADHD is that we can. And I think I'm living proof of that. Because if you had known me 15 years ago, you would be surprised where I am today. I'm surprised at where I am today. Okay, so I have notes, and the first note that I wanted to share was this idea of passion versus purpose. I think we need to understand, or I needed to understand at least, that motivation is an emotion. I had to realize that all emotions come and go, and I was not always going to feel motivated. I really had to admit to myself that it was kind of immature of me to always want to feel a certain way, like always feel happy, always feel motivated, always feel energized. That's just not realistic. Emotions come and go. Instead of passion or emotion, the thing I had to switch in my brain was to make purpose my driver. I could have purpose and be in a bad mood. I could have purpose and still be tired. I could have purpose and want to procrastinate on something. Purpose is really about why am I doing the thing I'm doing, not how I feel about it at that moment. So for instance, you can have purpose in who you're serving and what you're helping them do. You can have purpose in the fact that it's just putting food on your table and sending your kids to college. It could be the purpose of it gives me time and financial freedom so that I can travel. The thing that matters, though, is that it is urgent enough, it is big and important enough that it's not going to be something you can put off, right? Food on the table is not something you can put off. So if you have this bigger purpose of like, I can't not do the thing or we're not going to eat, that's going to get you to show up a lot more consistently than feeling good about it all the time. And I know the ideal is to feel good all the time, but like, again, that's the ideal. How often does that happen? Life is just not that. And I think we've got to get that out of our head because social media has trained us to think that other people's lives look perfect and they're not messy and they don't have bad days. And like, come on, we're all adults. We know that that's not the case. The thing that we've got to do, though, is figure out like what is going to get us to move forward when it's not perfect. I want you to remember this. You will not always feel excited, but you can still feel driven, right? And that was one of the biggest shifts, and I think probably the first shift that happened for me to be able to make this change in myself. There is a book that I recommend. It's called The Slight Edge. I just did a video on this. I'll put the link in the description to that video. Highly recommend that you watch it. It literally was such a huge piece of my ability to shift this part of my brain. So if all of this is making sense, give this video a like. Let's move into the next one. Okay, so this next point is about how we find that purpose. And this really comes down to values and vision. We find our purpose by defining for ourselves what are our values, what really matters to us, and why does that matter? And then we shape that into something like a vision. Now, for me, my visions have never had a lot of detail, right? People will talk about visualization and how it needs to have a lot of detail. I don't have that. I have no idea how I want things to look until I'm there and I can be like, I like it or I don't. That's just me. Maybe that's not the same for you. Maybe your vision has more detail. But for me, it was more just a general concept. Like, what is the vision I hold for my life, for my work, for my relationships? I get really clear on what I don't want. I get really clear on what I do want. And I like to define values so that I can put a name on it, like a one-word thing to be able to say, this is what I'm after. Now, I'm going to put a list of values. You can pause this to look at this list and really get an idea of what values are. These are really just one keyword. It generally doesn't have a lot of visuals to it in terms of like what this could look like. It could look a lot of different ways to a lot of different people. And you're also going to have more than one value. Generally for business owners, I tell them like have 3 to 5 values that are kind of your guideposts. They keep you on track in terms of where you want to go in your business, and do the same thing for your life. What are your values for health or relationships or any area of your life? And a really simple way to do this is literally just read through a list, circle everything that stands out to you, and then pick your top 5. From there, stick those top 5 on sticky notes wherever you need to. I put them usually like by where I brush my teeth. And then when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm literally just looking at them and thinking about them and thinking about the choices that I'm making. And are they taking me closer to these values or further away? So that's values, but vision is how those values may look in action, or at least a general sense of how they look. So one of my values is flexibility. That doesn't mean I know exactly how many hours I want to work every day. All I know is that it means that when I want to be able to take time away, I have the ability to do that. Particularly when it comes to your goals, though, make sure you know what those values are. Because again, this is going to help create that purpose and create that driver that keeps you motivated when you don't feel it. Okay, this brings me to an exercise that really helped me drive this in, and I give this a lot to clients as well. I call it the why exercise, and I'm going to read it because I wrote it down so that I don't forget. Number 1, I use this exercise anytime somebody is not feeling motivated or they're not sure what they're doing or why they're doing it, and they're kind of just missing the rudder, sort of, right? Like they're missing that sense of direction in what they're doing. So what this is we do this for 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's a journaling exercise. Do not type it out. If you need to talk it out, that's okay. Sometimes talking is better than writing, but writing is always going to be better than typing. So I want you to either talk it out loud to yourself or write it out. The majority of people do better when they write it out. It's only a few minutes a day, and you're going to write something different every day. So I'm going to give you a simple version and a more in-depth version should you need it. The simple version on day 1, you're just asking yourself, why do I want to do blank? Whatever blank is for you. It could be your business in general or a particular project in your business. And then every day after that for at least 6 more days. So we're doing this at least for a week. Some people need to do it more. You're asking, why does that matter? And then on day 3, why does that matter? And on day 4, why does that matter? And you might do a little bit of repeating, that's okay. But the purpose is to do this over and over and over again, because slowly you'll start to get into deeper and deeper reasons why you're actually doing something until you hit on something that is so important to you. There's so much conviction there that driver turns on, that purpose turns on, and now you want to show up and do the thing. Now, here's the more complicated version of that. If you want it, I'll put the questions up on the screen so that you can take a screenshot of it. But day 1 is, what are all the reasons I want to do this? Day 2, why do these reasons matter to me? Day 3, what past experiences have I had that have made these things matter to me? That's where we start getting real deep. Day 4, what else about those experiences, those past experiences, have made this important to me? Day 5, what do I see in the world now that makes these things matter? Day 6, why is it important that I play a role in these things? And day 7, why now? Now, I'm saying day 1 through 7, but you may spend a couple days on each of these questions. Each of these questions is really carefully designed to take you deeper into your reasons, but then also look at it in a broader sense as well, right? Like, what's happening in the world that makes this important? Why is this a now thing for me? Why do I need to play this role? All of these things are looking at it from different angles to really get you so convicted. And this is what I did. This is what made me so passionate about what I do. I am very passionate about what I do, even on the days when I don't want it. If I sit down and I start talking about it, I get lit up and on fire, because for me, my example is business for me is a vehicle for change. Small business is so critical. Small business owners are involved in their communities. They're giving back. They're making a difference. They care more about their employees. They take better care of their clients. Bigger businesses don't do that because the decision makers are not a part of the community that they serve. And so small businesses, we are this vehicle for change. And I see every economic, social, political problem as being something that small business owners have the ability to like tweak, change, massively turn around because we have resources and we have reach. And so I start getting really passionate. I can get up on a soapbox and talk about this all day long because I have tapped into something so deep inside of myself. I can go back and talk about my childhood and my 20s and all the mistakes that I made and the challenges that I faced and how entrepreneurship changed most of that for me, either directly or it did it indirectly. Right? So because I know this, I'm motivated to get up and do the work that I don't want to do, like make content all the time, because I want to be a part of that change. Like that's why it's so passionate for me. So when you're doing this exercise, give yourself time. You may need more than 7 days. You may need more than 1 day on each question. But the more time you spend with this, the more convicted you're going to be. The more you're not going to be able to shut off that driver that makes you want to work on it. Okay, so I'm going to step off my soapbox on this one, but do comment and let me know if you're going to try this exercise. I want to hear about it. All right, next on my list is my motivation rituals. These really help me stay locked in on the things I want to do, turning it into a habit, something that I don't have to put conscious effort to, right? So I've already tapped into that driver, but I don't need to like tap into that driver every single day. I turned that driver into a habit, a motivational ritual, so that when I show up, it immediately clicks on, the habit clicks into place and I can do the thing. And the book that I recommend for this is called The Power of Habit. What that book really did was help me understand that our brains are essentially these big habit machines. And if we can program them to do something, they'll just keep doing that thing, even sometimes when we don't want them to, right? Like that's how powerful of a habit machine your brain is. So I hacked that and I used it for my benefit. I started creating motivation rituals where it was like, at least 3 steps, sometimes more if I needed more. But it got to the point where it's like, once I was at the last step, I did this so many times when my motivation was high, especially, it created this routine that by the time my brain gets to habit number 5, I'm so locked in, turned on, ready to go that I don't even have to think about it. I know now if I get up on a bad day and I'm like, I don't feel good, I don't want to create this video, I don't want to even take a shower, like I'm just in a shitty mood and I just want to like work on nothing, I want to play around on my phone. I know that all I have to do is start this habit like ritual. And by the time I get to the end of it, I'm like already ready to go and don't even have to think about it. So hopefully this is making sense. Essentially, a motivation ritual is a series of things that you do that get you primed and ready to do the thing that you may not always want to do. So specific example, I get up in the morning. At the very beginning of this, let me give you my beginning example. I would get up and I would set some intentions. I would work with some journals that were really about like setting intentions for the day because it would tune me back into that purpose that I'd already found. Then I would maybe go for a walk or just get into a shower, get ready for the day, hair, makeup, clothes, the whole 9 yards, get something to eat, get water, get supplements, and walk into my office. So this was not complicated, right? But it was just simply every day I'm doing these things so that by the time I walk through those doors, I walk into my office, I am ready to go. I do not have to think about it. I am in that mode, completely switched on for work, and I can sit down and do the thing. The ritual itself changes over time or in different seasons, but the basis of it is that I am preparing my body and my mind to do work, right? So as soon as I am ready to go, it's just like if you have a 9-to-5 job, right? You have a ritual, and by the time you walk through those doors, you're in work mode. We can just create the same thing for ourselves in our own businesses. If you have a motivation ritual, will you share it in the comments just to encourage other people? But then I want to talk about the flip side of this, which is something I call lazy brain. Now, there's an author, his name is Chris Bailey. He wrote a book called Hyperfocus, and I read it thinking like, oh yeah, like this will be really great to help me hyperfocus more, which wasn't a thing I really needed more of. But the takeaway that I had from the book was nothing to do with focus. It was more to do with the importance of balance for our brain, the importance of unfocused time, or what he calls scatter focus. So the definition of scatter focus, a deliberate practice of letting your thoughts roam freely. So you're not focused on your phone, you're not focused on a book, you're not focused on anything that your brain has to like really think on, right? You're not reading, you're not writing, you're not doing anything like that. My scatter focus time is generally going for a walk without my phone. So I'm not listening to a podcast, right? Because that's still focus time. Maybe I'm doing the dishes and there's just light music in the background and I'm just letting my mind wander around. I didn't realize how beneficial this is for my ability to sit down and focus the next day. And so I create this for myself. Like I'm usually done by work at 4, maybe 5 if I'm really pushing it that day and working longer. I'll have a little bit of time where I let myself zone out on YouTube shorts or something like that, just to shift my brain away from business because I am so locked in. I have a hard time getting out again. So I'll watch some funny shorts or some stand-up comedy or something like that. But then I really try to put my phone away and have some unfocused time in the evening, whether that's if we're making dinner, we're going for a walk, something that's just relaxing where I am not thinking about anything in particular. I'm just letting my mind kind of bounce around a little bit. Sometimes I will even just like lay down on the couch or lay down on the floor or go out in the grass and lay down and just let myself do nothing. That has been such a game changer. I don't think we have enough of that in our lives today. We're always focused on something, right? We're watching TV, we're watching our phones, we're reading a book, we're looking at our computer screens, we're talking to somebody, we're doing something. We don't have a lot of that time where we can just let our minds be still. And I think this is why we have more and more people being diagnosed with ADHD. This is my theory. I don't know if it's true. But simply because we have so much that our brain is trying to focus on. But you think back 100 years ago, we didn't have that. We had a lot more downtime for our brain. And I just always wonder, like, is that what is causing so many of our mental health issues now? Because our brains are not resting. They're just going all the time. Mine especially is going all the time. When I started creating this deliberate practice of scatter focus, it really made a big difference in when I was ready to focus, how well I could do it, how clearly I could think. So make sure you are balancing hyper-focused time with unfocused or at least work-free time so that you have the mental bandwidth to show up to what you want to do. And by the way, if you like the idea of having a business and still having free time, be sure to subscribe because you are definitely my people. Okay, lastly, and this one is especially for the women, but a little bit for the men too. If you are struggling to focus, make sure you look at your health. For me, there were times where if my inflammation was high, my ADHD symptoms are crazy. I can't focus at all. I've got a lot of brain fog. But I also realized that as I was getting into perimenopause and my hormones were shifting, I was really struggling to focus. Like my brain was not functioning in the same way. And it wasn't until I talked to my doctor and she said, like, yeah, that's a normal hormonal thing and we can treat that now safely, that my whole life just got so much better. So I highly recommend, if you are struggling with it, make sure you understand it's not just a mental thing. Sometimes it's a biological thing. Sometimes it's happening in our body, not our mind. It's happening in our cells, not our thoughts. And really make sure you're working with somebody who can look at your system holistically, not just say, oh, it's all in your head, or, oh, you just need this medication, but really make recommendations based on lifestyle, nutrition, inflammation, general health, and longevity. There are so many things out there, and I'm not an expert on any of them, so I'm not going to get into all the different things you could do, but fall down the rabbit hole, fall down the longevity rabbit hole, fall down the biohacking rabbit hole. Look to see what you can do to optimize your health, not just not be sick, but like actually find your best level of health, whatever that looks like for you. And if you've been around here a long time, you know I have a lot of health conditions. I have autoimmune conditions, I have genetic conditions, I have all of these things stacked against me. That has made it more important for me. Yes, harder, but in one way kind of easier because I can't not do these things because I feel it so much faster than other people. And so forcing me to stay on point with my health and forcing me to find really great doctors that will team up with me and not just like, do these 3-minute appointments that some of them do, but like really work with me to get as healthy as I can get. it's made such a huge difference. So I'm not going to give you medical advice. I'm not going to tell you what you should do. I'm just going to tell you, find a good medical team, get a full workup, make sure that you are working with people that understand your body and your conditions, not just any Joe Schmo who thinks they know what they're talking about, but somebody who specializes in you, and then get the support you need, because I swear to you, like, our biology will always hijack our psychology. So really make sure that you're taking care of yourself so that you're able to take care of your business. I would also love to hear from you in the comments which one of these things you think makes the biggest difference for you or will make the biggest difference for you, what you're going to try first. Make sure to leave a fist bump also just for watching to the end. Give this a like, subscribe, share it with other people who are wanting to have healthy businesses and healthy lives and just need to figure out, how do we do that without being distracted by life in general. And as always, remember, yes, sometimes it is very hard, but you've done harder things than this. You can do this too. You got this.